had a great time. All right, this is the portion of our program that if you have a question for one of the candidates, a question, singular, go ahead and line up at the podium to my right. Is first, you will line up. The format will be, we will have as many questions as we have time for. If your question gets left out, please don't get angry with me. I'm only one person, and I'm working for free.
Can you hear me now? What if I just speak up loudly?
I think that'll work. All right.
This question is for Representative Castor. Ma'am, have you learned the difference between a lecture and a town hall? Because this is a bipartisan town hall event. I'm just curious if you learned from your experience through August to this experience here in April.
I'm not answering the question.
Someone hear the sound of crickets? Well, since Kathy's not here, tell me your next best thing. If it's proven that Obama offered Congressman Sestak a cabinet position if he would not run against our own inspector, would you support impeachment of the president?
Any crime by any elected representative should be investigated and pursued, and that's without respect to political office or political party.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can just ask one candidate, right? Or, all right, well, let me ask Eddie then. What is your opinion of the VAT taxes being batted around right now in Washington?
I think the flat tax is a the value-added tax. Oh, okay, sorry. The value-added tax will serve absolutely no purpose unless we get rid of the terrorist arm of the federal government, which is called the IRS. If you don't get rid of the IRS and you have a value-added tax, it is taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes, and we've already said that more taxes is not a good thing.
Again to Eddie, because of your answer earlier and the one you just gave, but you talked about reducing taxes. When elected to Congress, would you consider becoming part of the body that will attempt to remove the 16th Amendment and eliminate taxes altogether as a means of controlling Congress and stopping the spending?
That's a very interesting question. My solution to the problem is to reduce services. The Republican Party keep talking about less government, less taxes. Well, no party, the Democrats or the Republicans, have given us less government. The Republican gave us Homeland Security. The Democrats have given us a lot of other departments that we don't need. So first thing you're going to do, if you're going to reduce costs, is you've got to eliminate some bureaucracies, like starting with the Department of Education. Because at the federal level is redundant and it's not effective. That should be a state and local issue, education. We can also get rid of the Department of Homeland Security because we went 200 some years without it and we were safe up until now, and it is something that can be eliminated. We can also get rid of the Department of Energy, considering their primary function and job from the very beginning was to make us independent of foreign oil and energy sources, and they started that in the 70s when we had gas lines, and we still are not independent of foreign oil sources. So to get rid of those three departments, we reduce the amount of money that we got to pay to do the things we actually need to do.
I would like to ask this to everybody, but I can't, so I'll ask Eddie. Eddie,
I'm sorry, dude.
Congress is broken. It is a corrupt body, and I'm sure for 200 years, fine people like you four have sit there and tried to fight your way into that arena. And almost without exception, every person that goes there is corrupt. one thing, how do you hold on to your core values in that snake pit? And would you sign an oath for term limits on your own campaign?
Term limits is already part of my political platform. It's on that brochure that I handed out to you. And how do I go to Washington and not get corrupted in the snake pit? Well, if you look at me, I am a black Republican sitting in front of me. I am already, I am the only black in my entire family who is a Republican. So you got to take in consideration. I
You ask the rest of them to vote for me, Eddie.
I do the honor, integrity, and service thing every day, because if my values were not worth me defending to my family, to my peers, to the community that I live and grow in, and I still am a black Republican, still fighting for the same values, and I've done it my entire life. When I go to Washington, that part of me will not change, because I still have it in me.
This is a question I think that should be addressed to each of you, and so I won't pick which of you is going to answer the question until after I finish asking the question. It's a two-part, same question, but two parts to it. One, why do you believe Kathy Castor needs to be replaced? One. And as a second part of that, what strategy will you implement to affect that change so you end up, because it said she's unbeatable. What will you do to turn it over so that one of you ends up in Congress instead of her? And I'd like to have all of you answer the question. So, Willie, you decide who should ask.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. All right, now let's. All right. Hey, because I'm flexible. Everybody except physical. Let's start with Mr. Curtis, then Mr. Buntyn, then Mr. Castellano, and then Mr. Adams. Tell them I'm busy. Mr. Curtis.
Okay, and I have to give Eddie at least 10 seconds of my time because I interrupted him while he was answering.
This is later. You just up later.
Very good. Very good. Why does she have to be replaced? It's simply because she does not represent the majority of the 11th Congressional District. Folks, listen. I appreciate that. Let me tell you something. She has a constituency. She absolutely does. They are not the majority of the 11th District. And so we need to work real hard. And again, I put party labels aside. Listen, I stand before you on principles and values that we all share, principles that unite us. So we're going to have to work very, very hard. I don't agree with they. Mr. Sipos quoted they. They said she's undefeatable. I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. I tell you what, I walked through some tough battles in the United States Marine Corps. I don't quit. So it can be done, and it can be done on this basis because we share principles and values that unite us. The things that bring us together are much greater than those few things that might separate us. How are we going to do that? Very simple. We're going to employ every electronic media available, and I'm going to wear out several pairs of shoes between now and August 24th, and I invite you to wear some out with me.
Thank you. This is not San Francisco Bay, the land of Nancy Pelosi. This is Tampa Bay, but we have different values. But I'm afraid that Ms. Castor has adopted the values of Nancy Pelosi. She's the 9th most liberal member of Congress. I don't think that reflects the views and the morals of this community. And how will I attack that? You know, just a few days ago, Easter Sunday, I sat 6 rows behind Kathy in church. We attend the same church. This will be a civil campaign. It has to be. At church, I've asked people to pray for both of us because I don't want this to be something that divides our church. It has to be a civil campaign. And I hope that it will be civil on both sides. But I can only control what I do. We've got to make inroads into the middle of America. That's where most people are. You hear mostly from the far left or the far right, but most Americans are in the middle. And that's what will win this campaign. Thank you.